Behind the stage, face screaming in fear, Jungkook secretly hugs his mother after the BTS concert. Broken heart, loudly crying face. The lights of Busan Asiad main stadium had finally begun to fade. The thunderous cheers that had shaken the city throughout the night were slowly becoming distant memories. Thousands of armies were leaving the venue, still overwhelmed by the emotions of BTS's historic second night concert during the BTS World Tour ARIRANG in Busan. For many fans, it had already been the most unforgettable night of the year. The performances had been spectacular. The anniversary celebration had been emotional. The members had shared laughter, memories, and tears. Yet, according to this emotional fictional narrative, the most touching moment of all happened after the concert ended. Far away from the cameras, far away from the stage, far away from the spotlight, behind the scenes, where only a handful of people were present. As the final confetti settled onto the empty stage, BTS made their way backstage. The members were exhausted but happy. The energy of the audience still echoed in their hearts. Everyone knew they had just experienced something extraordinary. The 13th anniversary celebration had exceeded every expectation. According to the fictional story, Jungkook walked quietly through the backstage corridors. Unlike his usual energetic self after a successful performance, he appeared unusually thoughtful. His mind was elsewhere. The emotional events of the evening continued replaying inside his head. The crowd, the anniversary celebration, the overwhelming love from ARMY, and most importantly, his mother. Earlier that night, according to the fictional narrative, Jungkook had been surprised to discover that his mother had secretly attended the concert. The realization had left him emotional. Even hours later, he still couldn't fully process it. For the entire concert, he had tried to remain focused on the performance. But every time he glanced toward the audience and remembered she was there, his heart filled with emotion. Now that the concert was over, he finally had a chance to see her. Without cameras, without pressure, without the entire world watching. According to the story, one of the staff members quietly informed him that someone was waiting in a private area backstage. Jungkook immediately knew who it was. His pace quickened. The hallway suddenly felt longer than ever. His heart raced. Not because he was nervous about performing. Not because he was standing before thousands of fans. But because he was about to see his mother. The person who had been there before any of this existed. Before BTS. Before fame. Before sold-out stadiums. Before millions of fans around the world knew his name. At the end of the hallway stood a simple door. Jungkook paused, took a deep breath, and slowly opened it. According to the fictional narrative, his mother was standing there quietly, still wearing the same simple white shirt she had worn during the concert. The yellow mask she had used earlier now rested in her hands. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Words weren't necessary. The emotion between them said everything. His mother smiled. The same warm smile she had given him throughout his entire life. The smile that had comforted him during difficult times. The smile that had encouraged him when he doubted himself. The smile that reminded him he was loved no matter what happened. According to the fictional story, Jungkook immediately walked toward her. Without hesitation. Without saying a single word. And then he wrapped his arms around her. A long embrace. A sincere embrace. The kind of hug that only exists between family. The kind of hug that communicates everything words cannot. For several moments, neither moved. The room remained silent. Outside, staff members quietly continued their work. Inside, time seemed to stand still. The superstar disappeared. The celebrity disappeared. The performer disappeared. There was only a son and his mother. According to the fictional narrative, Jungkook buried his face against her shoulder. The emotions he had been holding back all evening finally surfaced. Not dramatic emotions. Not the emotions of a performer. But genuine human emotion. Gratitude. Relief. Love. Pride. The realization of how far he had come. His mother gently held him. Just as she had when he was a child. Just as she had before auditions. Before training. Before success, some things never change. No matter how much time passes, no matter how famous someone becomes, a mother's embrace remains the same. The night had been filled with incredible moments. Yet somehow this simple hug felt more meaningful than all of them. His mother softly told him how proud she was. Not because of the sold-out stadium. Not because of the global success. Not because of the awards. But because of the person he had become. Those words touched him deeply. Because throughout his journey, that had always mattered most. Not success. Not fame. But making the people he loved proud. As the embrace ended, they sat together for a while, talking quietly, remembering old stories, sharing memories, laughing about moments from years ago. According to the fictional narrative, Jungkook seemed happier than ever. The pressure of the concert had disappeared. The responsibilities of being a global superstar had faded away. For a brief moment, he could simply be himself. A son spending time with his mother. Outside the room, the members eventually learned that Jungkook was meeting with her. RM smiled knowingly. Jin laughed warmly. Jimin looked happy for him. V smiled. Suga nodded quietly. J-Hope grinned. They understood how important the moment was. Because throughout their years together, they had witnessed every step of Jungkook's journey. They knew the sacrifices. They knew the hard work. They knew the challenges. And they knew how much family support had meant to him. According to the fictional story, the members intentionally gave him privacy, allowing him to enjoy the moment, allowing him to create a memory that would remain with him forever. As the night grew later, Busan became quieter. The stadium lights dimmed. The crowds dispersed. Social media continued exploding with reactions to the concert. Millions of fans discussed performances, speeches, and emotional moments. Yet nobody knew about the quiet scene unfolding backstage. No cameras recorded it. No giant screens displayed it. No audience witnessed it. Only a mother and her son. And perhaps that made it even more special. Because not every important moment needs an audience. Not every meaningful memory requires applause. Sometimes the most beautiful moments happen in silence. According to this emotional fictional narrative, before leaving, Jungkook hugged his mother one final time. A little tighter. A little longer. As if trying to preserve the feeling forever. His mother smiled and reminded him to take care of himself. A simple message. The same message countless mothers give their children. No matter how old they become. No matter how successful they become. They never stop being a mother's child. As Jungkook finally walked away, he turned back one last time. His mother was still smiling, still proud, still supporting him exactly as she always had. And according to the fictional story, that image remained in his heart long after the stadium had emptied. Long after the concert ended. Long after the lights went out. Because among all the unforgettable moments of BTS's incredible Busan concert, the memory that meant the most to him was not a performance. Not a song. Not an anniversary celebration. But a quiet hug behind the stage. A hug filled with gratitude. A hug filled with love. A hug between a mother and her son. A moment hidden from the world, yet powerful enough to last forever. According to this emotional fictional narrative, the night was still not over. Outside, Busan had begun to settle into the quiet hours after the concert. The streets surrounding the stadium were gradually emptying. Fans continued sharing photos and memories online. Millions of armies around the world were still talking about the incredible anniversary celebration. Yet inside the private backstage area, Jungkook remained with his mother a little longer. Neither seemed eager for the moment to end. For years, their conversations had often been interrupted by schedules, rehearsals, flights, recordings, and world tours. Life moved quickly. Too quickly. Tonight felt different. Tonight felt peaceful. According to the fictional story, Jungkook sat beside his mother while still wearing part of his stage outfit. The excitement of the concert had finally faded. Now only warmth remained. His mother looked at him and smiled. For a moment, she simply observed him quietly. perhaps seeing not the global superstar known by millions, but the same boy she had watched grow up in Busan. The same boy who once ran through the house singing songs at the top of his lungs. The same boy who dared to dream bigger than anyone around him. According to the narrative, she gently told him how much he had changed. Not in personality, not in kindness, but in confidence. She spoke about how proud she felt watching him command an entire stadium. How proud she felt seeing millions of people support him. How proud she felt seeing him remain humble despite everything he had achieved. Jungkook listened carefully. Every word meant more than any award, more than any record, more than any standing ovation, because these words came from someone who had known him before success, someone who had witnessed every struggle along the way. According to the fictional story, the conversation eventually turned toward memories. Old memories, childhood memories, family memories, moments long before BTS existed. They laughed together while remembering stories from years ago. Stories that only family members could understand. Stories untouched by fame. Stories untouched by the public eye. For a while, Jungkook laughed harder than he had all evening. The sound filled the room. It was genuine, natural, comfortable, the kind of laughter that comes from being home. According to the narrative, his mother then handed him a small package. Nothing expensive, nothing extravagant, just a simple gift, personal gift, something meant only for him. Jungkook appeared surprised. He slowly opened it. Inside was a photograph, a family photograph from years earlier, taken long before the world knew who BTS was, long before stadium concerts, long before international success. The image captured a simpler time. Time filled with uncertainty, yet also filled with hope. For several moments, Jungkook simply stared at the photo. His expression softened. The memories returned instantly. According to the fictional story, tears once again formed in his eyes. Not tears of sadness, tears of gratitude, because the photograph reminded him of where everything began. Every journey has a starting point. Every dream has an origin. For him, that origin was family. The people who supported him when there was no guarantee of success. The people who believed when nobody else could see the future. The people who stood beside him through everything. As midnight passed, the backstage corridors grew quieter. Most staff members had already completed their work. The venue slowly transitioned from excitement to silence. Yet Jungkook remained seated beside his mother. Neither wanted to rush the moment. According to the fictional narrative, they eventually stood together and looked out through a backstage window. From the distance, they could still see portions of the stadium. The same stadium that had been filled with tens of thousands of fans only hours earlier. Now it appeared calm, almost peaceful. Jungkook smiled. The sight carried special meaning, because earlier that night, he had stood before one of the largest audiences of his career. Now he stood beside the person whose opinion mattered most. And somehow that felt even more important. According to the story, before saying goodbye, his mother offered one final piece of advice. The same advice she had given him countless times throughout his life. To stay healthy, to stay happy, to take care of himself. Simple words, yet powerful words. The kind that remain with a person forever. Jungkook nodded, smiling, knowing that no matter how much his life changed, some things never would. The love of family, the support of family, the concern of family. As the moment of farewell finally arrived, the atmosphere became emotional once more. According to the fictional narrative, Jungkook hugged his mother again, this time knowing the evening was truly ending. The embrace lasted several seconds. Neither rushed to let go. Neither wanted the moment to disappear. Eventually, they stepped back, smiling through tears. No dramatic speeches. No grand declarations. Only a simple exchange of love and gratitude. Sometimes that is enough. As his mother prepared to leave, Jungkook watched her walk away down the hallway. For a brief moment, he remained standing there, reflecting, thinking, appreciating everything. The concert, the anniversary, the fans, the members, and above all, his family. According to this emotional fictional story, that quiet moment became one of the most meaningful memories of the entire Busan weekend. Not because millions witnessed it, but because nobody did. It belonged entirely to them. Private memory.